What is going on again, guys? This is Nick Kuntz here with Wild West Cards and Collectibles, and today we are going to be filming a little Gamestop PSA submission. So we're going to go ahead and get some of our stuff ready. Actually, I don't need those ready right now. What am I doing? These are what I need. Get a couple card savers ready. All right, so we have those here. I have a, oh gosh, I thought I do. I have a pack of fresh sleeves in with some of those are recycled stuff that I took in. And so there we go, boom. So now we've got our sleeves, we have got our card savers, and now we're going to go ahead and put some of our cards, oh, gosh dang it. Anyway. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our cards into the card savers. I'm going to show you the few cards that I'm going to go ahead and be sending off in this next submission. So, all right, starting off, I picked up this Gulpin at a recent card show. So guys, I'm going to be releasing eventually, like, I don't know if I'm going to do it as like a channel members thing or how I'm going to go about doing it. But basically what I'm going to do is I am going to be sharing an Excel spreadsheet that I am going to compile of all the cards, which, you know, I've done research on. And basically I look for, you know, these kinds of cards in sets that, you know, maybe they struggle to 10 well, but they explode in value, right? So like this card is like one of those ones that I think, you know, at one point it was going for upwards of like $300 when it multiplied in a 10, you know, and like I think I paid, you know, whatever, $5 for it. So, you know, the small investment, even as a 9, I think I'll still at least break even. And this copy here honestly looks beautiful. I do not see any whitening on the corners. It has really nice centering. I think it definitely has a very solid chance of getting that PSA 10. So let's just go ahead and do that. All right, I know they say you're supposed to like stretch these things out. To be honest, I kind of wish I had some like felt gloves. I almost kind of want to start doing that a little bit. So anyway, let's go ahead and just get that guy on in there. All right. Yep, well, a little crooked, but anyway. There we go. So don't want it to be too hard for the guy to get it out of the thing, but yeah. So there's our first one that we're going to be sending off, and that is our Gulpin. Let's see if we can just set these on the card stand for now while we're doing this. Hopefully we don't knock it down. We can keep going. All right, so the next card, ba-bing, is this Chinchino. Right, so this card is, again, another one. You've got little Merrill in there. I forget what that little guy is. And, you know, we got the little Stuffy. We got the Wink. He's just in his room with the little table and flowers. And it's kind of interesting. It's hard to see. But that's Charmander creeping in the window. That's Charmander creeping right there. It's a cool card, right? It's a cool card. Anyway, I didn't pay $17. I didn't pay $15. I think I paid like $10 for this card. And it is another one that does go really crazy when it explodes, or excuse me, if it gets graded a 10. So what my goal is to find as many of these cards that are near mint that I think are in great enough condition that they could grade a 10, and then effectively what my goal to do is to put them all in a submission together, because at that point in time, even if you're getting like a 60, you know, I see a little something there on the top. Oops, what is that? What is that? Okay, I don't remember if I think I saw that before. Anyway, so there we go. So we have a little something, a little ding on the top. So the kind of thing that could potentially just knock us down to a 9, right? So, you know, but that's okay, because sometimes, you know, occasionally you can still multiply your value even with 9s. And one other thing is that I don't think it hurts to have a couple cards in the mix that it's kind of easy to let the grader, you know, like give a 9, so that it, you know, kind of makes it easier for the ones that are not, the ones you really want to get a 10 to get that 10. I don't know if that's like foolish logic, but to be honest, in my mind, that's kind of how I like think about it. Yeah, dang, I don't know. I'm like looking at it more and more, and I'm thinking this may just be, this is actually gonna, I think, end up being an eBay card. I think I'm not actually going to grade this one. See, but that's what you have to do, right? Like, you got to get under good lighting. You need to really inspect your cards and not just be trying to throw your money away, right? So this is a card that I had looked at before, and it looked like it was, you know, greatly centered, no white corners, and it looked beautiful. But I had completely missed that there was just a minor imperfection at the top edge that, you know, if you look at it under the right light, you can easily see it. And it's almost certain that a grader would end up noticing that, and it would more than likely only get the 9. I'm really shooting for 10s, so I'm not really looking to add any cards that I like know for sure either would not or should not 10. You know, I at least want to know that it at least has a chance. Should have a chance. Anyway, okay, so we're going to move on. That one actually, just in making this video, got pushed aside. It's not going to go into the grading pile. So we're going to kind of move on really quickly here. I'm going to kind of try to do this fast. All right, so we have the Japanese version of the Mewtwo from that in English is only found in that 151 Ultra Premium collection. So basically, you know, my thought from this card right now, it's not performing like extremely well necessarily. You know, because we're at a point in time right now where there's going to be a little bit of a lull, but all 151 stuff ultimately in time, I think, is going to end up, it's going to be, you know, similar to like prismatic, like Evolving Skies, not exactly like Evolving Skies. I think it's still it's going to grow somewhat slowly over time, but it just has so much nostalgia and so much beautiful artwork. And great throwback, you know, great artworks for these like throwback, you know, just OG Gen 1 Pokemon that, you know, getting a hold of these kinds of copies of cards that, so here, I'm going to just kind of rewind and basically say something that I've noticed in some of my investigating, right? So if there's a card that in a PSA 10 English artwork is going for a really high dollar value, right? The Japanese version of that 10, I've noticed it will not in the short term be anywhere near the value of its English counterpart. But what I have noticed is that once some time goes by, like 1 or 2 years, once those other cards that start to really stretch up there in price, the English, you know, top tier cards, their Japanese counterparts then all of a sudden become a much more financially attractive option. You know, people are more willing to, you know, spend that money to get, you know, let's just say, like, for instance, right now is a perfect example of prismatic evolutions, right? I don't even almost want to give this away. You can buy the Japanese versions of the top of all the evolutions for around $100 to $200, aside from the Umbreon, which is about, you know, $300 right now, I think, somewhere. Now, I think it's like $500 something in a PSA 10, but it's a far stretch down from, you know, buying those cards as a 10 in English. And so as that set runs out of print and those cards all of a sudden begin to see their spikes, which they will inevitably and certainly see, their Japanese counterparts then do have a tendency to all of a sudden start to try and stretch up towards them, because they're just all of a sudden becomes, you know, a massive demand for them because they're the affordable option of the exact same card from Pokemon. They're just in Japanese. And there's a ton more people opening their minds to Japanese as a way and means of collecting. I think that they're definitely more risky, but, you know, confining them to this type of a card, I think you're going to be doing okay. So we're hoping for a 10 on that guy. I'm going to just save it on this one because everything I just said in relation to that card, to the Mewtwo, applies obviously to this Mew. And the interesting thing is, a lot of people don't know this, and the market hasn't figured this out yet, but you have to pull this card in Japanese. You can't just buy a product and get this copy out. You have to pull it. So now that 151 product is basically going to stop being opened, this card, which already sells raw like 3 times what the English, the Black Star promo copy sells for. Unfortunately, right now, it's like PSA 10 isn't like really reflecting that, but I think that it will more over time. Okay, only a couple more left. We're only going to end up submitting, looks like now we're going to only end up submitting 6 cards in this submission. And yeah, so let's get this done and let's get going. So the next one, again, are you noticing a theme here? Alternate art, limited to a box that is not massively printed, right? So this card is like the closest you can get within the Pokemon space to like actually having a limited card. This one is absolutely beautiful. No whitening, perfect centering. This one is one that I'm absolutely hoping and like definitely expecting, banking, whatever you want to say, that it gets a 10, because it should. It absolutely should. Okay, let's get that back. Sorry, trying to like do it where I can see it. Be careful enough. You don't want to be too timid because then you're gonna, sorry, just looking at something. Anyway, boom, Greninja, Black Star promo, 2 left. And bam, Saw's book. This is just an absolutely beautiful card. So these are ones that I'm also going to be targeting heavily out of the Scarlet and Violet era. All of the cards that had like a 2 or 3 part artwork, I'm going to be trying to get those graded and be, essentially compiling sets. But basically what I'm going to attempt to do is, and I'm not doing it on this time, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be grading them together, because obviously getting sequential cards and sequential 10s is it can massively up their value. So it only makes sense to submit your cards in a way where that's possible, right? So this is it's Deerling, right? So it's Deerling and Sawsbuck. So what I would do is I would make sure that the Deerling was in front of the Sawsbuck when I sent in the submission, right? So hoping that the grader would be nice enough, if they both did receive a 10, to make sure that the certain certification numbers on the slabs were sequential. So having the pair in a PSA 10 as a sequential set is over time going to always aid in that card, like you getting the max value of whatever it's worth. That's simple as that. Anyway, trying to be quiet. I'm making these videos take way too long. I promise you guys I'll get better at this. If you can't tell, I have all this stuff in my head, so I definitely had to start making these videos or I was going to go crazy watching everyone else do it, and I obviously have a lot to say myself. So anyway, last card. Deep breath. Boom. Man, this is one that actually breaks my heart. This card breaks my heart, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I came back into the hobby in 2020 around celebrations, and this was an awesome card, right? This card, for the longest time, stayed at around $10. $10, right? And then, of course, as Prismatic was coming up, I knew I wanted to get some. I I ended up not picking up any. And what happened? Boom! $50, $60, $70 raw. Oh my gosh, guys, come on. The patterns are repeatable, right? Just think about this for a second. Gold stars are one of the most epic cards, even though this one wasn't nearly as rare as what a real gold star was in terms of like its ability to be pulled. This card is an actual opportunity for you to own a gold star Umbreon. Guys, this card is going to age incredibly well. Even though it has like an old style holo, the entire card is textured. That 25th anniversary stamp is going to matter less and less over time. These cards got up to the realm of $250 at the start of the Prismatic Evolutions drop when that Umbreon hype got reignited to a full peak. This guy went bananas. I wished I would have bought 100 of them when they were $10. Are you kidding? Like, oh my gosh, I knew that was there, but hey, when you're starting out in the position that I'm in, you just can't make a play on everything. You got to just, be patient. And, when you see that these opportunities that you weren't in a good position to capitalize on because, of your own mistakes and failures, you just got to remember, soak that feeling in and let it fuel you towards being wiser and more disciplined with how you make your selections and choose to grow your collection. That's my advice. That's my advice. Let your failures fuel you. Allow yourself to learn the lessons. And then get back after it, doing it the right way. Guys, thank you so much for coming to this video. I made it last way too long. Let's pray for some 10s, guys. I think we're in a position where we could get all 6 of these bad boys to get a 10. Anyway, I got to clean this room up and get out of here. Appreciate y'all. And please like, comment, subscribe. See you guys again on the next one.